Hello, everyone. This is a video about virtual presentation. And in this video, I will share some of my favorite tips and tools about presenting at the virtual setting. My name is Joyce Chan. I have been a proud NCFR member since 1993. English is not my first language, so if you have any questions, please let me know. And I would like to thank my colleagues for sharing articles and resources. And I would like to thank NCFR for giving this opportunity to share some of my thoughts. In this presentation, I'm hoping that you will find something useful. This presentation is for the conference presenters. So before we start, I would like to ask you to recall the best virtual presentation you have ever attended. When was the presentation and why was this the best presentation? And what is the magic formula for a successful virtual presentation? Virtual presentation is different. In addition to who, what, when, where, why, that we also need to consider the nature of the virtual setting. NCFR Virtual Conference is a professional conference, and the virtual setting presents unique challenges. For example, that virtual presentation is dependent on the quality and speed of internet, which we will talk more during the technology section, and also that many times participants may be multitasking or not as involved. Attention span is also another discussion point. Many people may think adults should have 15 to 20 minutes attention span. Some people disagree. Some people may say in an online or virtual setting, there's something called the 3-5-7 rule. You have 3 seconds to get people's attention. You have 5 seconds to draw people in. And then if you have 3 and 5, consider yourself very, very lucky. There are many ways to create an effective virtual presentation. In my opinion, content is the most important element. I imagine a virtual presentation is almost like a Broadway production. So you want to start with a good content, a good story. And then with a good story, then we'll find the appropriate delivery method. First thing is about voice. In the virtual presentation, we may need to speak a little bit slower, enunciate just a little bit more, use good volume to be confident, and also use good voice dynamic. People cannot really hear you well if you have a lot of background noise or have a lot of echoes. Therefore, I would suggest you to consider a microphone or a headset. So whatever you do, please never, ever just read the slide. The next point is about visual aids, about the PowerPoint or the Google Slides you'll be using. We all know perception is one's reality. We're using visual aids to enhance our presentation and also to help our attendees to stay focused. We want to have something interesting, but not distracting. We want to have simple, consistent, appropriate, and using keynotes only. It has been recommended that it would be best to just list the key points. We should not use complete sentences in slides. If you want to look at more information, please go to NCFR's website for more information. NCFR also has suggested a few tips for fonts and size. For example, here are some of the suggested fonts by NCFR, and those are supposed to be more readable fonts. We want to avoid using all caps, and we also want to have good contrast. It has been suggested that font size is very important since many of the participants may be using their cell phone. So here are some guidelines about, again, this is like the minimum font size. Another consideration is appropriate spacing between lines. There's something called the 555. 5 words per line, 5 lines per slide, and no 5 text-heavy slides in a row. For example, this is kind of hard to read, and after the 555 makeover, this slide is more pleasing and readable. When we want to present a lot of numbers, we want to be very cautious. We don't want to present a lot of numbers, and that will be lack of focus. We may want to consider using some kind of chart or figure to help us emphasize some key points. This is information overload, and this is more digestible. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Using images can enhance our presentation. We want to use the high resolution images, and we want to think about that the images should be royalty free, and we want to cite the source if possible. Another important element is about color. We know color can influence emotion, and those are different color, and then it really evoke different emotions. And this, for some reason, when I look at this, I feel hungry. So what will you do differently for your next virtual presentation? We're going to talk about engagement and interaction. Engagement is very important, and I would like to share my thoughts about engagement. You do not need to have a lot of technology to be engaged or interactive. I have seen colleagues using great planned probing questions to lead a very deep and meaningful discussion. So that I just want to be clear that with proper planning, that you really do not need to be very savvy with technology. If you would like to use a lot of tools in the Zoom, that there are a lot of interactive tools in the Zoom. I have highlighted a few of the tools that I think you might want to take a look. I'm going to talk about something called the breakout room. It's a great way to enhance connection. It depends on your presentation type, that when you use breakout room, you may want to use 4 to 8 people per room. You can randomly select the participant to rooms, or you can manually assign people to a specific room. If you want to share any document, be sure to share before you send people to the breakout room, and I will encourage you to give very clear instruction. For example, if you have 3 questions you want the breakout room participants to accomplish, that you might want to have the 3 questions in the chat and then send it to everyone before you put them to the breakout room. And in order to have meaningful discussion, it has also been suggested to have facilitator, recorder, and presider for each breakout room. Breakout room is fabulous. However, the late arriving attendees will enter to the main room. So make sure you always have someone in the main room. Therefore, you might want to ask a collaborator or co-presenter to be your virtual assistant, and make sure your helper is also registered for the conference. Speaking over people is another challenge. How will you handle it? There are many ways to handle it. For example, some presenters will tell the participants to type their name in the chat, or type the question in the chat, or just raise your hand. So think about how will you handle this situation. Another friendly reminder is that you might want to make sure that your Zoom screen name is correct. One time when I went to a virtual conference, that I saw a participant's Zoom name was Lonely Heart in the Dungeon. It's kind of interesting. If you're using a virtual background, you want to have a simple virtual background. You can also add the tools to enhance engagement. Be sure it's easy to use. It will work for all platforms, and then also your participants do not have to create an account to participate. You may also want to make sure there's no hidden fee or hidden cost, and make sure their privacy, safety, and security policy that are appropriate. And here are some examples for tools, additional tools for engagement. So, what is your favorite interactive tool? The last section is about technology and virtual setting. Virtual conference is heavily rely on high-speed internet. So do whatever you can to have high-speed internet. If you can have Ethernet, that will be better. You want to set up on a desk, you can sit or stand. You check all your equipment. You want to close all the app or unused window in your device. And if you are using Wi-Fi, you might want to minimize the number of devices that are sharing the Wi-Fi. Location is very important. We know the best location will have good internet, and then we'll have less interruption, and hopefully we'll have good lighting as well. Lighting is crucial. The best lighting is usually coming straight ahead, a soft lighting, but it will really depend on your skin tone, depends on your location. So I will encourage you to play with the lighting and then find the best lighting for you. Another important consideration is eye contact. In order to have eye contact, place your camera at your eye level or a little bit above your eyebrow, and you want to look at the camera for eye contact. Pro tip, you might want to put a little sticker by your webcam so it will help you to have eye contact. On the presentation day, you want to arrive early. The attendees will be put in the waiting room, but the presenters are expected to arrive early. We want to check equipment, and you want to think about whether you will be able to greet people upon arrival. It really would depend on what type of presentation you will have, and then you are going to deliver this wonderful presentation, and you're going to end your presentation on a positive note. As I have mentioned before, the virtual presentation is kind of like a Broadway production. So I will encourage you to have dress rehearsal, and you want to record your dress rehearsal, and you just have to practice, practice, and practice. Now, but what if you have done everything right, but something unexpected happened? True story. Last year, I was in the middle of my presentation when I heard the tornado siren went off, and I ended up having to go to the basement, and my basement have nothing, have no internet, no Wi-Fi, nothing. So I have learned the hard way that I always need to have a backup plan. So do you have a backup plan? What if there's no internet? What if there's no electricity? Do you want to record your presentation and share with your co-presenter just in case? So what is your backup plan? For this presentation, we talk about the uniqueness of the virtual setting. We talk about different tools and tips for effective presentations. And I also share some of the important considerations when using technology. It is not possible to cover everything. However, I hope that you have found something useful. I want to thank you very much for your time, and I hope to see you in November. Bye-bye.